Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hot Topics, the show, the podcast where we create, inspire, and
Transform.
there you go. This is Gloria Goldberg, the founder of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory, where I talk about depression, anxiety, and PTSD in a holistic way and natural way to always make you feel better. And next to me, like always, my beautiful co-host, Kia Baker.
Hi, it's your girl Kia, and I am the creator and host of the Female Veterans Podcast, Women Warrior Stories, and success coach at London Real Academy, where our fearless leader is running for Mayor of London, and the election is less than a month away.
Yes. Yeah, I'm so excited for him, and I am so excited for what is going to happen. And I saw the other day in his social media all the volunteers that want to work with him. Do you saw that?
Oh yeah, he has tons and tons of volunteers. I have people reach out to me even and say, "How can I volunteer?" So I send them off to the correct people, and I just hope everybody votes for him. I know that he has really good intentions for what he wants to do, and I love the concepts that he wants to implement that I know of so far because they're very tight-lipped about it. And I just found out that the academy is going to keep running. So I'm excited to keep being able to help students and doing what I love to do with London Real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew that he was not gonna close something that he's very good at it.
No.
It would be
No.
not smart. So Kia, we have a very special show today, something that we never did in our year and a half that we've been working, and I think this is like an epic to be able to host six podcasters, six professional podcasters that each one is so different, different backgrounds, different cultures, and be able to come together and talk about something very, like I would say, maybe taboo in some ways about feminine and masculine, and we're gonna see the perspective on each one, and the female and the masculine prospect, and I'm so excited about that. What about you?
Okay, so you already know that I am so excited because every single one of these podcasters is excellent at what they do. They are talented, they are brilliant and intelligent, and more than any of that, they're my babies. I've had the pleasure of helping them create their podcast, which I love to do. And so to see them thriving and creating their own live stream show, how could I not support that? And they are so insightful and so just savvy that I could not help but have them on our show. So I'm really
Exactly.
excited.
So what do you think? Because we are so many, why you don't think that we just started bringing it in and start the show right away?
Well, I do think we should do that right away and get started and start firing some questions at them and see what their thoughts are on toxic femininity and toxic masculinity. And later, we will discuss verbal abuse. So stay tuned for
Wow,
that.
that's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna start bringing it in one by one. Simon, Carla,
Hi.
Nelson, Victor, Kala, and Matilda.
Yay. So
Yeah.
normally what I would do is give our guests this glowing introduction, which I sort of did, but I wanted to bring you guys out so that we could hear individually about your podcast, what your mission is, and then we'll talk about Podcasters Unleashed. So everybody, these are some amazing people. Get ready because this is going to be an amazing show. So usually we say, if you are not 18, you need to click off. I'm not sure about this one. So maybe just do it just to be safe, because I never know what's going to happen. And of course, you already know our number one disclaimer is the opinions and views of our guests may not be the same as our own, but we absolutely defend their right to have them, and we'll provide a place for them to share them. So with that being said, let's just start at the top and go around. Simon, you have been a guest on Hot Topics before. Your episode did really, really well. So I'm super glad to have you back. And so tell us again the name of your shows, because you have two, I know, and what your mission is.
But before Simon responds to that, I want you also to tell everybody where's your location and what time is now, because we have all different times. So I like that too.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm Simon. My location is London, England, and the times now is 8 minutes past 8 p.m. My first podcast is Taxi Chronicles. I call it Sharing the Gift, which I got from one of the mentors on London Real, Joe Ingram, where he says, your life experience is your gift, and who are you not to share your gift with the world, with humanity? And since then, it's gone from stage to stage during the, so I've got 11 months and nearly 400 episodes. And I just believe everybody who sits in a taxi gets opportunity to tell their life story in brief. And it's usually the length of the taxi journey, 5 to 15 minutes. And that helps somebody. Sometimes it's them offloading. They're talking about some very serious things that have happened personally in their life, from women's issues where women's been mistreated, or just career and things like that. So it's a good listen, or good episode obviously you've got a women audience. There's a breast cancer, one about breast cancer, a lady who found out she had breast cancer, and it's from that to recovering from the whole treatment. I think it took about a couple of years, but it's really emotional, really good. And it's just a surprise. It was a surprise. I didn't suspect to have that guest in the car today in that moment. The other podcast is called Africa Investor Stories. And that's about people from around the world who've invested in Africa. And they just share their experience, what it's like, do's and don'ts, what they do again. And it's basically just telling that vital part of their life where they've shared their life, where they've made you could say a midlife crisis decision. Most people are 40 upwards, and they've gone through it, somewhat successful, somewhat unsuccessful. But I personally believe everybody's successful, because no such thing as an overall bad experience. You can always learn from it. For Africa Investor Stories, we post once a week. I do a solo class that also share my own experience. For for Taxi Chronicles, we post every day at 8 a.m. London time, without fail. So back over to you.
Fantastic. That is a lot, and it sounds awesome. Something for everybody there, I'm sure. And Carla is actually my partner in crime at London Real. So I'm super excited to have her, because right now we are coaching a group of podcasters and helping them bring their vision to life. So I'm super happy to have you here with me, Carla. Will you tell us where you are, what's your time, and about your show?
Hi, thank you for having us. It's really exciting. I'm in the UK. I'm somewhere north of Simon, quite a few miles up the motorway. So it's at the same time, it's just after 8 p.m. here. And my podcast is called Wonder and Wellbeing. It's a podcast for parents and teachers of kids between the ages of 5 and 14 primarily. And it's all about making sure that parents and teachers stay well, stay learning, and stay wonderful. That's what I aim to do. And it comes about from my own experience in teaching. I was a teacher for 15 years, and it was really, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But I didn't realize that it was going to take so much out of me in terms of my own well-being. I got a lot out of it. I overcame a lot from my own childhood, from working with difficult children. But then it got to a point where I just think I wasn't able to balance it. And I learned that there was so much missing that teachers needed and that parents needed to be able to maintain their own well-being. And so that's what every episode is about. It's about searching for a guest that's going to have a solution for parents, for teachers, or for both, or doing a solo cast about something I've experienced or some kind of knowledge or wisdom that I've had that I can pass on to other people. And it's constantly evolving because it's all about well-being. I try and keep it very authentic. So if I'm going through a difficult time and I'm able to podcast about it, then I will. If I'm not able to, then I'll find a guest that can take over and can talk about it. And if I really just need a break, then I take a break. So I try and keep it really authentic. I'm not as strict as I should be, based on the philosophy that we often promote. But I like to do that specifically to maintain the authenticity. And whenever anyone will tell me that I should be doing anything, I'll just talk about my well-being and why I have to do it my way. But I'm really strict about that, about my well-being. That's first. And I do that to be an example to other people. So back to you, Kia.
That's beautiful. I just want to say a quick hello to everybody who's tuning in. Thanks for showing some love. We appreciate you. Hi. Okay, so Carla, wow, that is really incredible work that you're doing. And I'm sure so appreciated by all of us parents with our kids who have been at home and really dealing with all of that, with teaching them and trying to maintain our well-being and all of these amazing things. So I love what you do, and I'm so excited to share that. Ooh, so Matilda, you are next. And you guys might remember, if you haven't gone to our Hot Topics Live Facebook page, jump on there and go through our episodes. I know there's many, but just about a year ago, we did 2 very special episodes with the very lovely Matilda, and we got a chance to catch up with her just at the onset of the pandemic and talk about what she was experiencing in Paris and how her family was doing in the Middle East. So I am so excited to finally have Matilda back, because I feel like now we can find out the end of the story, like where she is now, and see how everything has been for her. So Matilda.
Hello, Kia. Hello, Gloria. At the moment, I'm in Yerevan, Armenia, and the time is 11:15 p.m. So,
Wow, it's late for you, honey.
and my podcast is about, my podcast name is Coffee with Matilda, A Journey to Self. It's about self-discovery, self-love, because I believe everything starts with you and ends with you. And you have all the solutions that you're looking for in life. It's all inside. If your inside world is not good, your life outside is not good as well. So we shouldn't look for solutions outside. Everything is within. And I interview people who went through adversity and they didn't allow the life problems to make them play small in life. So I love their courage and outlook in life. So that's my podcast.
Beautiful. So Matilda, before I move on, I just got to find out, how have you been during the pandemic since we last spoke?
Yeah, it's been an interesting year, challenging, but interesting. I was in LA after Paris a little while. I got COVID and then I came to Yerevan. And Yerevan actually is very exciting because everything is open. There's no restriction. So I'm happy to be here. I wouldn't like to be in Paris. Everything was locked down there. So it's good to be in Yerevan.
Matilda, and what happened with your boyfriend?
It's good. It's going very well.
Oh, good. Good.
Partnership is going strong.
So COVID made you guys tough, had that lockdown. You guys were just newly together then, yeah? And you went into lockdown, and we talked about that a bit on the last episodes. So you guys are going strong still, yeah?
We realized if we're new and we'd never had a honeymoon stage because we met each other and it was lockdown. So if we can survive the lockdown, then I'm sure the honeymoon stage that hopefully one day will come, we can experience in a good way. So I guess we went backwards.
Well, good news for you. There is a second stage that's a honeymoon stage in a relationship cycle. So if you can make it through the power struggle phase and the stability phase, you'll hit the bliss phase and you will get your awesome honeymoon phase. And that one, if you're lucky, lasts forever. So I'm happy for you, honey.
Looking forward.
Fingers crossed. Awesome. So Paula, my sweet girl, one of my favorite people, I am so happy to see you and finally have you on Hot Topics Live.
Yeah, finally. I'm very excited to be here with you, Kia and Gloria. It's been like I'm excited to be here with you live, and it was really a nice journey with you to be a student and also to work with you in London Real in the summer.
Yes,
You and Carla.
another one of those coaches. I can pick talent, man. I'm just saying.
So my podcast is about women. It's called Women in Stories. So it's about sharing inspiring stories from women all over the world, and especially women who traveled and settled in European countries, especially in Paris, because I wanted to share stories and break barriers by hearing these stories. And I wanted also to break the stereotypes that society brings up, that women could have it all. And all these feminist stereotypes, I really wanted people to know what it takes to be an ambitious, successful woman. It takes a real support system from her family and from her partner. And that's what I've discovered through hearing these influential stories.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that.
I love
I
that
love
too.
that.
Love it.
Well, we're so glad to have you here with us, Carla. And I can't wait to hear what your viewpoints are on toxic femininity and masculinity. Yeah. So we're going to move on to Victor. Victor, I'm so happy you're with us today. I can't hear you, honey. You're muted. There you go. Just barely. Yeah, I can't hear you. There's something going on with your sound, honey.
I can't hear either.
Your volume is really low. I can hardly hear you now. No, I heard you before we started. Uh-oh. Are you frozen?
Yeah, a little. Yes, you did.
Okay, so you know what, Victor? We're going to come back to you. We'll let you figure out your situation, and then we'll come back, okay? So stand by. Nelson, we're going to jump to you, honey.
Okay.
Hi.
All right. Hi. Hey there. Okay. I am happy to be here. Very, very happy. Very excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
Am I good? It looks like a family reunion.
It is.
So Nelson, what is your location and what time is now?
I am at an undisclosed location somewhere. Okay. Actually, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I'm at the city of Fort Lauderdale. I'll show you the great view that we had. And the time here now is 3:21 p.m. And the temperature is about 85, 89 degrees, whatever that the temperature relates Celsius. I could walk around with a t-shirt outside and shorts.
Yeah, it's very hot here in Florida.
Yes. Yeah.
So Nelson, tell me, I know that you do real estate. You've been a guest on our show before. So people can find that episode on our Hot Topics Live Facebook page and see what your episode was all about. We talked about real estate investment. So share with us more again, for those who missed that episode, about your podcast.
Okay. Well, my podcast is called Investing in America. And originally it started out and focuses on how foreigners can invest in U.S. real estate. And it's not really even so much a how-to, but it goes into the life cycle of a real estate investment of the transaction, the life cycle of the investment. So I interview people from the whole gamut, whether it's a property appraiser, a syndicator, a banker, all across. And I also get heavily into their story too, and then their best practices. And I try to bring out the little nuances of the business so that people can know. I make sure I tell them, look, I'm going to ask you some tough questions. So I really want to get into the nitty gritty, and I want them to bring out their best practices too, their best business practices. Alongside of that, I also interview entrepreneurs that have nothing to do with real estate, because they bring incredible, again, best business practices. And we also go heavily into mindset. We're going into a recession. We've got the COVID-19 recession. So it's important. I mean, that's how we all got together here, basically, because of COVID-19. So right now I'm at the Tower Club here in Fort Lauderdale, the top club, business club in Fort Lauderdale. And a lot of people's businesses have been beat up. So I go into the mindset of what it's required to power through, and ideas, and then actual practical applications. And because of that, I'm launching a course too. I'm developing a course, how to live rent and mortgage payment free.
Wow, that is awesome.
That's what everybody needs. Everyone needs that course.
Yeah, they all do. They all do.
Yeah.
We all do.
So now I know that our largest demographic of viewers and listeners come from Europe, right? And so people who are living in Europe would listen to your podcast in order to learn how to generate wealth by investing in America, right?
And especially how to protect their wealth by investing in America, okay? Because the banks in Europe are paying nothing. The economy is not really growing, so they can move that wealth to the United States and have it grow, especially right now.
Wow, that's beautiful and amazing and necessary. So if you got it like that and you're ready to invest and protect your money, you better look up Nelson. And all of these podcasts you can find anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Cast, Overcast, Radio Free Public. I don't know, like everywhere. Pretty much. So just, you can look them up by name and you can find these shows so that you can listen and learn from their great guests. So Victor, we're ready for you now. Are you good with your sound? I can't wait to share what you're doing.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, good. So what I was saying was that this must be the longest intro you guys have ever done in the show. And yeah, and I'm so excited to be here. So last week I could walk with shorts and sandals just like Nelson, but this week I'm in London. I won't try that at all because it's very cold. So I am from Nigeria, broadcasting from Nigeria as well. But right now I'm in London. The time is 8 p.m. Same time with Simon and Carla. And my podcast is Diaspora Entrepreneurs, where I bring the reason I started the show in the first place was because when I was working and I saw people from the African and Caribbean background doing their 9 to 5. They basically have no time with their kids. So I said, okay, there must be something that we can actually do. So I started sharing stories of African diasporans, Caribbean diasporans who are entrepreneurs, who've found a lifestyle of freedom. So I hear those stories, people who go to work and have this aspiration of like changing their lifestyles and have more time with their family. So that's why I started this show, the Diaspora Entrepreneurs Podcast.
That's a really beautiful mission, actually.
Awesome. Yes.
Right? What do you think about that, Gloria?
I love it because that's why we are here, to help other people. Like the greediness and the power and the things that we are used to, that needs to be end, and helping people to grow and be able to be prosper. If everybody's prosper, everybody, if everybody helps everybody will be prosper. And what you're doing is awesome, because how many people are like that, like sitting down, like you said, Victor, 9 to 5, don't have no time for the family. So it's very awesome, that mission that you have. I like it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's a trap, that 9 to 5. I mean,
Yes.
it's like, what do they say? I think I've read in a couple places, it's like almost like modern day slavery, right? Just
Yes,
keeping you
yes.
chained to a cubicle, keeping you chained to a desk. It's become more and more enforced that you need to work overtime, and you're doing 3 and 4 jobs instead of the one job that you were hired for. And people are going to work they're living in misery. They're just there to collect a check. They're doing jobs because they have to do them out of desperation, not because they derive any pleasure from them. And then they get home and there's no time for their loved ones, and they're exhausted and they're stressed out, and their well-being, like Carla works with, is just in the toilet. So I love that concept. And I love the way that you help people to find a new way of being and to live a better, happier quality of life. Is brilliant. So
And
that's it.
I want to add something to that. Like, people don't realize that with the pandemic, yeah, we oh, the pandemic, but the pandemic is teaching us to go to another era. So now it's Zoom calls, you know, all the media is through the service, to the computers and stuff. So people is training to go in the path to be entrepreneurs and to have their own business online. So people don't realize that, and probably in the future, the 9 to 5 is gonna be disappearing, because people is gonna get more into, okay, these people can do this. Why can't I do the same? But yeah, I like your concept, Victor, to help other people to be able to grow and be prosper.
Yeah. The more
Thank
we
you very
see
much.
there's
And it's hard for
opportunity.
yeah, mostly for immigrants like us that came from Africa and the Caribbeans. We just come, and the first thing we do is what we already see happening. So if it's nursing, we just go into nursing. If it's construction, whatever it is, we just go regardless of our life's ambition. So I think people should start looking at the COVID. Gloria, you're right. The COVID has really shifted the narrative for people to start looking towards new ways of living their life.
Yes.
I definitely saw that with the growth of the business accelerator at London Real, where we
Yes.
teach people how to create digital businesses, and it exploded during COVID. It was like really crazy because people began to see that the way you're doing business in a brick and mortar style, yes, maybe that will come back and is coming back, but having that digital aspect of your business is necessary now, because it's like a fail safe. The people who were able to continue to work online or shift quickly into a digital format had the most success during the pandemic, and even had an opportunity to see growth. So, I mean, it's just everything has changed now. But I'm sure we'll be seeing more of that, like you said, Gloria. So now that we know who everybody is, and you can see how talented and special they are, I want to open this up sort of to like a discussion. Okay. And our topic today is going to be, as you know, toxic masculinity and femininity. So my first question for all of you, and whoever wants to answer first, just click in and we'll respect that. What do you think toxic masculinity and or femininity is? Anybody?
Here, I'll jump on that question. I mean, for me, this is kind of like the world according to Nelson, right? For me, it is the extremes of femininity and masculinity. For example, it could be a man who he disregards the boundaries of women. Or heck, even children, right, or even other people. But generally, I would say it's towards the opposite sex, kind of disregarding those boundaries right there, and it's the acceptable boundaries. So, for example, in the workplace, it could be instead of a "Hey, honey," which isn't really that bad. It's the slapping on the behind kind of thing, or locker room talk in open. That to me would be touching or going into the toxic masculinity. Toxic femininity to me is basically character assassination by the females on other females. It's character assassination. Okay, I'll just lay it out that way. So that's what it is for me.
What about you, Carla? What do you think?
Yeah, I like to always think of things outside the box as well. So I was trying to think about masculine and feminine as traits within the individual as well. So when you're talking about toxic femininity, it doesn't necessarily have to be a woman that's manifesting that. It can also be a man, and vice versa. Toxic masculinity can be expressed by a female. So when we're talking about toxic femininity, we'd be talking about things that are excessively feminine in nature. So I think of things like being a bit of a doormat, being too soft, too wishy-washy, all over the place, because feminine energy is kind of curves and waves, and it's able to change and pivot, and it's not so rigid. Masculine energy is a bit more rigid, a bit more firm. And so if you're too feminine or you're toxically feminine, you don't have a backbone, you don't have any values, you don't stand for anything, you're easily pushed over. And that kind of, it works in harmony with toxic masculinity, in the sense that if you're too masculine, you're too rigid, you have no empathy, you're super goal driven to the complete oblivion of anything else that's going on around you, and what you want, you're going to go for it no matter what, no matter who it destroys, even if it destroys you. So like Nelson said, it's those extremes of masculine and feminine nature, but I think it's important to remember that it's not always manifested masculinity in a man and femininity in a woman. It can be in all of us. And if we look at ourselves in the times when our lives are not successful, quite often it's as a result of this toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. Like when I said about burnout, burnout is caused by toxic masculinity. So even if you're a woman and you have a burnout, it's because of too much masculine behavior or too much masculine driving for goals and not taking care of yourself, and the more delicate or feminine side of your nature. So it's kind of a bit balanced, I think.
Wow, that's a good point. You looked interested in that statement, Gloria. What do you think?
I'm 100% agree with Carla about that, because going to a personal experience, I have a lot of masculine energy and I need to balance my feminine energy. And like Carla says, sometimes I'm too rough and I notice that. So I need to balance the masculine energy, because I could be a masculine toxicity over the feminine, because I do have feminine, but not too strong like the masculine. And yes, like what she said, it's not about a woman or man. It's about what is more into what kind of personality we are into. Like we have too much masculine, too much feminine. In my case, I have too much masculine, and I have to always match down a little bit the feminine to be able to be balanced.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that it's because we both carry them both, and when you're out of balance, it can go so far as toxic. You can be just out of balance and not be toxic, but if you go too far to one extreme, then it can become toxic. And you know what? I'm really glad that we have both female and male perspectives, because we do have some women that watch the show, which we're so grateful for, but usually we have a lot of guys. So I'm really excited to have the guys' perspective as well, since our audience is largely male. So Simon, what do you think about it? You're muted, honey. I can't hear you.
So hearing what everyone's saying, what brings to mind is, even if I use myself as an example, most of my career or jobs have been heavily male, whether it's security, military, or construction. So there's going to be a lot of masculinity, a lot of, my chest is bigger than your chest, to put it nicely. And I wouldn't say that's unhealthy. I would say that's based on how we operate as males, and there's a pecking order, and you bang your chest as hard as you can and stand up to get the higher position that you want, or to earn your respect. Obviously, if you throw a lady in the mix, it can be seen as daunting, uncomfortable, or just too much. So it's quite interesting that, depending on the environment of what you're used to and what you're accustomed to, is how things can be construed along that lines. And it's the same from my experience when we came back from our tour in Afghanistan. The Padre explained to us some basic things we found humorous, but he was very right. He said, when you go home and you make love to your partner, to your wife, you hold her, caress her. You don't just jump on her and then and get off, because you're used to that. For the last 6 months, everything's been aggression. It's just bam, 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 because it's all about combat. And you spend time with the kids, you see their interest, and he's basically just trying to bring you back to the whole concept of just lower that masculinity, lower it, bring it right down. It's not needed right now. You're going to go back to a civilian world where, you know, they don't need that. They don't need that. We appreciate that you've got that in your locker, but you need to put it away. You need to get out the other side of things. And some people can do that. Some people can't. And some people have issues with it over time. And in that respect, I can understand. I can see both sides of the story, how things can be misinterpreted, and when it comes to those things. I have seen, on another note, when it comes to women, they can be very manipulative to get their way. If the man doesn't want to stand his ground, obviously I'm just using typical cliche of man and women in that respect. And so you could be really timid and use that as a toxic element to get your way in everything. And the classic thing is in a workplace, a woman will break down and start crying, even if she's wrong. I've seen that before. And everybody and all the guys go, "Oh, you're so bad. How are you going to make her cry?" She was, look, it's not me. Honestly. And now you're the bad guy. And then she's like, "I got my way." And that's like, yeah, you know. But if it was a bloke, you'd say, "Yeah, he's a," you know, you'd handle him differently. But because it's a female, you've got to be a certain way. So it works to and fro's, you know, in that respect.
Yeah, I definitely can see your point there. And being in the military, because you and I were both in the military, I understand being in an all-male environment and being a woman and how you have to adapt to those conditions. And sometimes women can develop those very masculine traits as well. And like Carla said, become toxic. And you actually also have to know when to turn that off, because in my talks with female veterans, when they're transitioning out of the military, sometimes they forget what it's like to be girly and feminine, and they have to sort of reteach themselves that. So I definitely get what you're saying, and especially about the subtle manipulations that can be employed as well. What do you think, Gloria?
Yeah, I agree when he said about it depends in the environment that you are in. I've been working in an environment with only men for 18 years so far, and the only thing, me as a woman, that I have to work with a lot of men, I have to impose myself a little bit more stronger to be able to be respected by the males, because in the area that I work in the food industry, you have a lot of men for Central and South America, and those cultures are very macho mentality, more like masculine mentality. And when a woman is gonna give an order, or when a woman is gonna say something, you as a woman, you have to like possess this masculinity and make sure that they respect you. So I understand the point that Simon said. It's very tough for women that works with a lot of men and needs to be able to do that. And you go home and you still like with the masculinity on, and you talk like a very strong, and you do a lot of things strong until you say, "Oh, what's going on here? I'm not at work anymore." So I understand what Simon said.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Kala?
Well, I do think that we talk a lot about toxic masculinity and femininity, and I think we ignore a lot where does come from. We do say that it comes from a patriarchal history, but actually it doesn't come from that. It comes from women's and men's childhood and treatment and how they've been raised during their childhood. And I can think, as an experience, I can talk about the toxic femininity, because toxic femininity comes from taking out the feminine qualities like empathy, compassion, and nurturing, and turn it into toxic to undermine others. by gossiping, disapproval, or social exclusion. And because some of women, they didn't have this power to stand up for themselves or the right to stand up in front of a man, they tend to view fellow women as a competition for positions of favor. And I do think some women could sabotage other women. And we also talk about women could harm men or men could harm women, but also women could sabotage other women. And I did had these experiences in the work field in large corporation where there are a lot of women, they tend to compare themselves. They say, oh no, I need to destroy her before she will get my job. Or we can see it at schools too, where girls, they will try to gossip about other girls' outfit and try to bully the girl. And there have been a study where 58% of bullies are women, but their victims are other women. So it's very dangerous, this kind of toxic femininity. We don't talk about it a lot, and we tend to talk more about the toxic masculinity, but we should consider both.
Oh my God, I agree with you 1,000%.
Yes.
Kaula, because I have absolutely experienced that. And I hear about it time and time again when I talk to MST, military sexual trauma survivors, on the Female Veterans podcast. And we talk about being that girl and how other women victim shame and all of that is toxic. And so I think one of the reasons why this show is about toxic masculinity and toxic femininity is because it does need to be discussed. And I love that you made that really clear. What do you think, Gloria?
Well, I love it because I also was also bullied at school when I was young by other women. And that's why, and now that you mentioned that, you make me think about that, why I was so attracted to men. Because men growing up in school, because men don't do that and women do that. And I remember my mom did like a very bad haircut and they laugh about me, the girls, but the men don't even care about that. So I feel attracted to men and to be working with men and dealing with men because of that. And a lot of people, especially my coaches, said, Gloria, you need to be more in this, practice more in the feminine side, have more friends, more girlfriends and stuff, so you learn. And I said, yeah, you're right. But what Carla say is true. We are very, very terrible with other women. We can destroy another woman with just with just words and stuff.
Yeah, it's true. We should be more focused on putting, adjusting each other's crowns. That's what the saying is these days, right, ladies?
Yes.
It's, when you see another woman succeeding, don't hate on her, lift her up, congratulate her. When you see a girl where something's wrong with her clothes, tell her, like, aside politely and show some love. It's good karma. We'll come back to you. And since we're talking about this, Matilda, let's get your thoughts.
I think we live in a toxic society. We teach our babies, baby boys. You go to a playground and you can hear, when a baby boy is hurting, the mom is saying, oh, don't cry, you're a boy, you're a big boy, boys don't cry. Same boy gets older and he's, I don't know, young adult. He thinks by having locker room talks, he's more masculine, and women turn around saying, oh, it's okay, boys are always boys. We are encouraging men to be wussies, and we don't teach them how to become a healthy masculine. A healthy masculine man honors his manhood, and it's not about his private part. We don't call someone man because of his private body section. It's because how he honors, how he protects, how he treats another woman, or how he treats another man. It's that character that it's so amazing and mesmerizing. But right now we teach men, oh, you have to half and half, you do this, and then you come and work in the house, you have to do half of the dishes, you have to pay half of the bill, let her pay. I don't know. Or we teach women differently. We teach women, oh, you want to be a successful woman, you need to act like a man. We don't teach our woman, you want to be a successful woman, be a woman. adore your femininity. And femininity, it's not Kim Kardashian, it's not dressing up sexy and taking sexy pictures. It's to understand what a feminine energy is, to understand how powerful this energy is. Any man will kneel down for that energy. But we don't teach that to our girls. We teach them to be as sluts, because we say, oh, men are low level. We're teaching, this is how toxic society is. Our men are that low level that with sexy dresses, they will come after you. No, if we have a healthy masculinity, when we have healthy masculines and strong masculines, they won't just go for a feminine female that is dressing up sexy. They will go a feminine that is dressed nicely. Why not? But she honors her body. She honors her ideas. She honors who she is. And that's the mothers that we need in this society, not mothers that we're teaching our girls, oh, you have to be strong, you have to go to work, you have to act like a man, in your workplace you need to do this, do that, so they can respect you. So yeah, we are in a toxic society. So in a toxic society, everything is unbalanced. We have unbalanced femininity and we have unbalanced masculinity. And unfortunately, we are where we are because of this.
Wow. I have a lot to say about what you just said, Matilda. And I know you do too, Glorious, but just let me have a second. Okay, so I'm going to straight up say that I love to dress sexy. Okay. And I love to take sexy photos. Straight up, I'm not gonna lie. If you go to my Instagram page at Creativity, my private one, you will see that stuff there. But it's not about that. Femininity is not about that. What it is about is loving yourself and honoring yourself and resting in your beautiful, nurturing, loving soul. Mm-hmm. And if you feel like dressing sexy is part of that, then that's part of that for you. It's for you. It's your choice. It's not that I do it for men. I don't do it for men. I don't care. What I care about is what I feel and what I think. And I do those things for me. I don't know if Kim Kardashian does that for herself or whatnot, but I think that as long as you're honoring and being true to yourself and your own warm, beautiful heart, then that whatever you do is okay. But that's just my opinion. What I also think is you're absolutely 1,000% right about us living in a toxic society and the way we're raising our children, and they're growing up, and it's fostering this continued perpetual cycle of toxicity or unbalanced energies within ourselves, where we are unbalanced in our feminine and masculine within our own selves, like Carla was talking about. So I 100% agree with that. I don't think you have to dress sexy in order to attract a man. I think a good man, okay, because there's men who will just like to sleep with you, I'm sure, or whatever, based on whatever you're wearing, but and they don't care, and they're dealing with their own inner issues and whatever they're going through. But when you do things for yourself to honor yourself, when we teach our girls that it's okay to be a girl, it's okay to rest in your loving, nurturing, warm energy, it's okay to seek to not sleep with a guy right away and build an emotional connection with him, and to honor and respect your own wants, needs, and desires. And we teach men that it's okay to be emotional and honor your emotions and to be who you are. And we raise them. I'm raising boys. So it is important to me to raise them to honor and respect women, to honor and respect themselves and all humanity, and to raise these little human beings to go out and to be productive and good and loving little pillars of light out in the world, right? That's what's important to me. So I love what you said there, Matilda, and I absolutely think that we need to change the way we raise kids so that these adults that are out in the world can love and honor and respect themselves and treat each other with that same amount of love and honor and respect. What do you think, Gloria?
Well, I'm going to say something maybe a little bit controversial. about women. The fault of the men being the way they are, supposedly we are all toxic, but we as a women, we are carried the baby for 9 months, and we bring the baby to life, and we are the ones in charge to raise those kids. So when the woman is raising those kids, especially in the male, let's talk about the male. Why the mother don't think about raising the man? That man is the man of the future. That man is gonna have a wife. That man is gonna have kids. So
Yes.
it's our responsibility mainly to teach men to have the balance, like the feminine and the masculine energy. And I remember this from my own family. They are like, it comes from very macho mentality. My grandmother, they never teach my father how to treat a woman. And when my father came mad with my mother, I remember my grandmother say, yeah, go, hit her, she's a bad woman, this and that. So my grandmother was teaching my father, for a very small kid, to be what he was, or what he was doing with my mother. And I see a lot of women in my culture that the men in my culture, the guys don't clean, don't cook, don't organize. Women clean, organize, and cook, because you need to learn that, because you're gonna have a boyfriend, you're gonna have a husband to take care. And the men, no, sit down, the mother clean, the mother wash the clothes and everything. In my family, the one that I have a girl and a boy. And since I have my two female and male, I teach both the same thing. Like my kid at 11 years old, it's same like my daughter, 11 years old. Both, they need to know how to load the washer and the dishes, to wash the clothes, to do the bed, to do their stuff. Because for me, it's the same. I will teach them different stuff, of course, but for me, it's the same principle. Both have to be able to do the same thing. Women can clean, men can clean. And men can wash clothes, women can wash clothes. So I understand some men that get a little bit irritated when they say, it's women wants to be like us. I understand that part. But also, we as a woman, we are the ones who cause this problem in many, many ways.
Wow, that is a powerful statement. We are, a lot of us, especially I know here in the United States, after, in certain communities, after, the whole war on drugs, and, there was a whole issue with like crack, and a lot of parents of families got split apart, and there became a lot of single mothers who were doing the job of raising their families, boys and girls, on their own, having to be both the mother and father. So we do actually have a lot of responsibility for how our children are raised. I'm a single mother right now, so I know that I'm raising two men to go out into the world, and teaching them life skills is super important to me. They hate doing their chores, but they have to do their chores. They have to know those skills: how to wash clothes, how to cook, how to do all of these things. And I think that it does kind of rest with the parents, and exactly like Matilda was saying, like if we teach them boys don't cry, or if my little son wants to wear fairy wings and I suppress that in him, right? Like that, then that is creating that toxic cycle. So, I mean, I really love that you said that, Matilda. That was very, very true, I think. What do you think, Victor, about all of this?
Well, I think I'm going to come from a very interesting angle, because I think this is a Western thing. So it's not what we discuss on a daily in Africa, in Nigeria to be precise. This femininity, feminism, masculinity, we don't discuss this because it is not our problem yet. So it is when it come to the West and you start, what is this? Yeah. So for me personally, Gloria, I hear what you just said regards how you were brought up. I come from a very, very large family, and we were taught different skills. Men were taught different skills, women were taught different skills in our household. So who needs to go to the factory has to go to the factory. Who needs to do the cooking needs to do the cooking. And mostly the women tend to do that, because if you give me a pot of beans to boil, I'll burn it. So I won't even go there. So, but if you say let's go to the factory floor, I know where to go. I know what to do. I know the tools to handle. So this is not really what we discuss on a regular, like the way it's been discussed on this part of the hemisphere. No, we don't talk about that in Africa. What we talk about is I just come into the concept of Western feminism. That's the concept we're coming into terms with right now, whereby there's equality of gender and all those kind of stuff. So, but for on a toxic level, yeah, I agree with what most of you are saying. Toxicity is very dangerous. So, whereby masculine toxicity and femininity on a very toxic level, it is dangerous and it's extreme. So, I won't encourage those two girls. I won't encourage them to be. I would encourage them to be more ambitious. I would encourage them to be more straight, to be more outspoken. But I will also encourage them to be very, very understanding, to be more empathic, to be more socially conscious, to be more aware, emotional intelligence. I will encourage them to do that, as well as my son as well. That you need to be ambitious because no woman wants a man who does not know what he wants. So I would to some extent, but not to the extreme. So there should be a balance, but this concept of toxic femininity and toxic masculinity is foreign to me, and I just know what is bad, and what is good for one is good for everyone. So that is
Victor,
what I think about that.
Victor, I wish they know how many brothers and sisters you are because that's the most interesting part.
Tell us.
He's got
Woo!
51.
Yeah.
Is it a big family? How many?
How many?
51. He's 51.
51.
Brothers and
Yeah.
sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's number 25.
Yeah.
Your mother. Oh my Jesus Christ. She's a saint.
Well, that might be another episode.
Yes, of course.
I'm gonna have you
Definitely.
back, Victor, so we can
Oh,
just
yes.
ask questions about it. Because now I have like 100 questions right now. So stay tuned for that episode with Victor, and we
not
can
one of
find
them
out.
not one of them was adopted. I think not one of them was adopted.
Victor,
Wow.
I want to bring your mother to Hot Topics.
Okay. I need to ask your mom some questions.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's wow. Well, definitely. Wait, how many are brothers and how many are sisters?
He doesn't have
We
the
have
count.
more. Yeah.
I think he lost count.
So I think it's 24 boys and 27 girls. I think.
What? Well, when toxic
Yeah.
masculinity
We are one big
and
family, so
when toxic masculinity and femininity does make its way to Nigeria, you guys are going to have some really interesting conversations.
Kia, I need to ring the bell.
That deserves the bell. That's wild.
Yeah.
Whew. Oh my gosh. Thanks for bringing that up, Matilda. And Nelson, I saw that you looked like you wanted to say something a minute ago.
Well, I mean, against the 52 brothers or sisters, there's not really much to say. But what I wanted to bring up, and just to kind of the things we were talking about, first of all, about the sexiness. I think part of that, is unfortunately in the English language, we don't have enough words to describe that. It's all sex, right? Sexiness, and really, we have a big advantage in Spanish. We have a lot more words to describe. To me, that's sensual, and then there's sexual, and they're two different things. They're cousins, but they're not the same. So we end up collapsing them. So, for example, in Spanish, we can say an expression: "Ella tiene swing, ella tiene gracia, ella tiene elegancia." We can say all that, but it doesn't imply sex. She's sensual. She dresses sensual. Look at the walk she has. It's elegant. It's not sexual. In English, we don't have all those other words, so we collapse all that together and make it sex. You know, so we take away some of that kind of femininity, some of that beauty to it, because we just don't have the words in English. You know, that's why people can dance in salsa. So sensual. People say, "Oh, it's sexual." No, it's sensual. The man leads when he's dancing with the woman. It's sensual, not sexual. So, like the pictures, I'm sure, are very sensual. We say sexual in English, but it's really sensual. Um, and then on the part of the toxic masculinity or femininity, to me, that's like a lack of leadership, right? Because you want to impose, or that person wants to impose their will on someone. But part of that leadership implies empathy, compassion, nurturing, caring. You know, so you build up the other person. Hey, what's wrong? What's happening? Hey, let's see why you can do this. So unfortunately, you don't have that in the toxicity part, and that's a key component of leadership right there. And then the final thing is you talk about the life skills, right? You know, so yeah, I mean, everybody has to learn it. It makes you a better mate, I think, in the future, right? Makes you more attractive, right? Any man or any woman, you go to their house and it looks sloppy, all of a sudden they're not so attractive, right? And it's funny you talk about the fairy wing. So when I was a kid, I used to love to play with GI Joe. I had a GI Joe dolls, and I remember my dad said, "What are you playing with those dolls for?" And I remember I said to my dad, "Dad, this is GI Joe. This is GI Joe. I want to be like GI Joe." So my dad was taken back. Well, who the heck is this GI Joe guy, right? Because we came from another country, and then he saw GI Joe as this action figure. So with the fairy wings, I said, "Well, what superhero are you?" And so we can always put a positive spin on that, instead of all the sexual kind of like, "Oh, well, no. What superhero are you?" "Oh, wow, yeah, Ant-Man or something." So we can always kind of put the people on the right path and not put all these adult problems on them. Right?
Well,
Says,
we're not going to get into all non-binary issues and gender enforcement, but I see your point, Nelson, and I think it's a good one. I didn't tell my son anything. I told him they were wings and he could fly.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and that's it. I mean, it's like, let a kid be a kid. Oh, he's this, he's that. Kid wants to fly like Superman. Wings, fly like Superman. Draw it out instead of. But that's those other things. I call them adult problems, and all the kid wants to do is fly.
For sure. That's why we don't that's why I think it's important that we don't enforce this sort of our own vision of this gender stereotyping, right? Because another parent might say, why are you letting him play in those fairy wings? That's for girls. Yeah. And I don't think like that. He used to have wings on. I just let him have wings on. I don't say anything about it. And believe me, he's absolutely fine. The wings went away in a week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he flew around, got sick of them. Then he was playing with a dinosaur. So, I mean, it's just, I agree with what you're saying when you put the adult thoughts onto children, right? And what you said about sensuality and sexuality. And it goes back to what Matilda was saying about teaching young women we're not slut shaming or anything like that, but teaching young women what is classy and elegant about being a woman and what is, a little bit less sexy or less elegant and classy in the way you present yourself to the world. And so also about that too is by the way, when I said there are sexy pictures on my Instagram, you will not find any thirst trap pictures on there. So I think that speaks to as well, Nelson. So we are already at an hour, but we knew that the show was going to go on a little bit longer because we, have a lot of people here. So I only have 2 questions for you guys before we wrap it up. Okay. So my next question is, since we talked about toxic masculinity and femininity, my next question is, how do you think we can balance that out? How do you think we can improve that? I'm going to start with you, Gloria, because I want to hear your thoughts on all of this.
How to balance this? Well, number one, you need to recognize which one is the one that you need to work on, and start like maybe going inside of you and hanging out more. For example, in my case, that I need more feminine energy. I need to like be more carry, be more with other women. I don't know. I think that way. I'm just in that process. And sometimes I realize that I have a lot of masculine energy. And then I said, okay, I need to balance this. So the way to balance things is to find out what exactly you're missing and go for it. And if you need masculine, hang out with men or read about masculine energy to balance that. I would say that. I don't have no more answer for that.
I think Victor made a good point when he mentioned emotional intelligence. Personally, I think understanding emotional intelligence is really key into healing if you're out of balance with those energies, and really understanding what masculinity and what a healthy way is, and what healthy femininity is, and then doing the self work and giving yourself a lot of love to bring it into balance. But I want to hear from Carla, because she's kind of the expert in well-being.
Yeah, I definitely think it starts with what Gloria said. So it all starts with you, and knowing where your balance is and what kind of things throw you off balance. So for me, I found that my job, being surrounded by men, I was working in a boys' sports academy school, when I realized my balance was off, and majority of my colleagues were men. And that's when I really became aware of how masculine energy around you can also influence your levels of masculine energy. So like Gloria, I'm quite masculine. I was brought up by a man. But the irony of that is my dad was very about feminine. So he had this very clear idea of what a good woman was, according to his Jamaican culture. So he would try and teach me from a male perspective what he liked in a woman. And so he would talk to me, he'd coach me, he'd help me to dress really feminine and all that kind of stuff. So actually, when I found myself off balance, I went back to that. And I went back to who I was when I was quite young, and when I was happy in myself and when I felt balanced. And I used that as like a gauge to get myself back to that. But then also what I realized was that I wouldn't be able to continue in that job because it wasn't allowing me to do the things that were going to make me balanced. So for me, it's writing, it's being creative, it's painting. Those things are really important for me now. If I don't have that in my life, then I find myself going off balance. But then I think also when you know yourself, you know who matches you in terms of relationships. And that's not just like romantic relationships, it's also friendships. So if you know you're kind of a bit tough, and my friends always say, if you have a problem, call Carla, because she's very pragmatic. And that's the word they all use, which for me is quite masculine. Pragmatic is quite masculine. But then my friends, a lot of them are more emotional and a lot more sensual. So when I'm being too pragmatic, they'll be like, yeah, but what about this? And they'll remind me of those things and bring me back to the center. But also I know now, because of my experiences, what kind of partner is more matched to me. So if it's someone who's very feminine in his nature, that's not really going to gel very well with me. But also toxic masculine, I will run a mile. So I'm more balanced as a result of just my experiences and just being with other people, and even being part of things like our podcasting group. We just have this balance. So we have lots of discussions about relationships and feminine and masculine and all that kind of stuff. And it's really interesting how we all improve and how balanced we become after conversations. And we go away and kind of check ourselves based on the outcomes of those conversations. So I think people make a difference. Your connections make a difference. And that for me is really, really important, to keep those connections so that you can keep yourself balanced and keep checking yourself to see how you're doing in that. So yeah, back to you, Keith.
Amazing. Very, very good insight. What do you love about it, Gloria?
It's like, you, Carla, and me, because we've been in masculine environment, we are like that. And I love what you said. We need to find the balance all the time. And I also have to go back to my childhood. And when you calibrate and then you are aware, then you get better and better and better. And I love what you said about today, Carla.
Awesome. Matilda, I saw that you wanted to have input.
Yes, I was was thinking like it would be a nice start if somebody's interested in this topic to check Jung. Carl Jung, he talks about this a lot, and he talks about the, like, as a female, automatically your feminine energy should be stronger, and as a male, your masculine energy should be stronger, because we both have these energies inside us. And animus is the masculine unconsciousness in a woman, and anima is the feminine unconsciousness in a male. And if it's not balanced, that's why some men have more feminine energy and some women have more masculine energy. In a woman, when a masculine energy is strong, they have to go back to their childhood. They have problem with the male in that family, their father or their brothers, or the society suppressed their feminine energy. That's why they developed this masculine strong masculine energy in them. And if you look at the females that they act like a male more, it's when they were young and they were baby or young child, they had problem with their mother, and their feminine energy has been suppressed. So I think if somebody's interested, they can go look at Carl Jung, and it has a interesting way of explaining these energies and how to balance it inside you.
That's amazing, Matilda.
I love that one too.
That is really amazing. I agree with you 1,000%. A lot of the stuff that when you become out of balance and you come across these issues in your life, when you become aware, because a lot of times we're on autopilot through life and we're not self-aware, but when you become aware that you're out of balance, and I really hope this conversation will help people become aware if they are or where they're at, then you can do something about it. And one of the things that I've learned on my healing journey is to go to your inner child, because there are a lot of inner child wounds that occur, like Matilda was talking about, that inform the way you attach in relationships, not only with yourself, but romantically and in friendships. And these attachment styles I talk about all the time on Hot Topics. You know, my girl Thais Gibson from the Personal Development School on YouTube talks about this. She really goes in deep, and she is always telling us about what needs work, and to go within and to go back to those memories that you may be repressing, and to figure out what the root cause of this issue is. And when you can heal those root causes, then you can create that balance in your life, that shift that you need to begin to heal and attach in a more healthy way within society, to yourself, and in friendships and relationships as well. And I see you nodding your head, Kala, so I want to hear from you.
Yeah, I do agree with you, because last 2 years I thought that I had unbalanced energy, the masculine and feminine energy. I felt that I have more feminine energy, and I need to improve a little bit of masculine energy, how to take risks, how to not think a lot, how to challenge myself more. So what I have done, that I went to canyoning. It's a trip where you need to pass a lot of tasks, and you need to jump from the cliff, and you need to go as faster as you can in order to finish the race. And what I've loved from it is there was a lot of masculine energy that pushed me to finish the race. And without that men's support with that race, I couldn't finish it, because I felt like if there were like a lot of women in that race, I can't finish it, because I needed that masculine energy to tell me, just jump, just do it, don't think twice, just jump from the cliff and finish that race. And really felt really empowered and powerful after it. So I do think that each one of us should balance the feminine and masculine energy. And I do think is a proper family with a dad and mother could play a big role on balancing that. I do think that single mother, it's very hard task to do, very, very hard task to do. And single mother can't do everything. alone. I do think that a boy needs to have time with the masculine and with men to play, and also with women. They need also to explore the men exercises and the men environment more, and women too need it in the early age to explore that the feminine side of her.
Oh, I agree with you on so many points, Kala,
I
because
love that one too.
because for example, as a single parent, well, you know, they said the saying, it takes a village to raise kids. Victor's family was a village. It seems like a lot of people in his family, so they were all probably raising each other. But it does take a village, you know, to
It was a
raise kids.
town. It was a town. It is a town.
So my point is, you do need that, whether you're a single parent or not. It's good to have environments where you can have healthy male mentors for your boys. I do. My kids do kung fu. So their kung fu instructor is a wonderful person, and he's a great role model for them. Also, their father is in their life as well. I shouldn't act like he's not, but he really is, and he's around as well. So I do think, if it's possible, if sometimes the father's not involved though. So, and sometimes the father might be toxically masculine. So you might want to seek outside sources for that. And I identify what you said about jumping the cliff. So, and about women that have, or that, I think that was Matilda that said women that have masculine, that they're more masculine. When you come out of the military, you tend to be more masculine and rest in that energy a little bit more because of the environment that you were just in, right? But what you were saying is, sometimes you need that. You need that masculine energy to push you. So for example, when I was in boot camp in the Navy, right? Yeah, I'm probably sure you remember doing way more than this, Nelson. Your special forces. But we had to jump from a 20-foot high diving board to simulate jumping off the side of a ship, right? And I remember that moment. I'll never forget it. I was terrified to make that jump. But with the push of all of this masculine energy pushing you to do it, giving you that positive feedback, giving you that encouragement, just do it, just do it, just do it. Like, you just do it. And then the empowerment on the other end of, after you make that jump and you're in the water and you swim and you do, you complete the mission and you feel so empowered. I love what you said about that. What do you think, Victor?
Yeah, I've been busting to say something, Yeah, you see, most of the solutions, or most of the way that has been described here about how to balance this, mostly tends towards women. You get, so how do men get balance? The obvious one is to give them a slap on their head or just shake them. Yeah. But what it is, men, we really don't know how. We really don't know how. There's no one size fits all on how men get balanced, because when they get too much masculine energy, they don't know how to get the balance with the feminine energy. So we always short in this aspect. We can't go to a women's boot camp to start doing the knitting and the weaving and start talking about love, lovey dovey. No, we can't do that. So we are shortchanged when it comes to this. So we just go to the pub. Now there's no more pub. So
But
you get the visual
Victor,
shakedown by people like.
men can go to this
Yeah.
boot camp of women and learn to be lovey-lovey, to be sweet, to be caring, to be, when the women cries, come and kiss you and hug you. The other part that you did describe is not really that important.
She's crazy.
We'll pass. I think on the underlying thing, men do suffer from this balancing act. We tend to just go high on one side, and the feminine energy side, we kind of or we go all the way high on the feminine side and just reduce the masculine energy side. So I think men having the short end of the stick here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. What do you think, Simon?
I, look, I look at it like this. When I looked it up on Google about the meanings and everything, it appeared to me that at first I got the impression that men were just being attacked because of certain things that certain men have done and what have you. But I, after a while, I thought about it and I thought, I don't really see the problem. And why I say this is because as a man, I forge away. I forge away to leading for my family, be an example for my kids, the boys and girls. I will warn my daughter about things that may not be, she shouldn't really do to make her vulnerable. I'll warn my son about just standing your ground and certain things like that. Obviously, when you're with the ones you love, you act accordingly. I don't see why men would need to go to somewhere to be more lovey-dovey. I think when you're ahead, you're doing what you need to do. What seems to me is a bit of what Victor said. The ladies are trying to catch up, or they're trying to be in the driving seat with us. And that's all. No, they can do that if they want to, but that doesn't mean I have to start behaving like you. Not you personally, but in another aspect. I don't see the thing is. I don't agree with being abusive to anybody, regardless of their gender or whatever they are. But the same sense, I don't see why I should be having to be all softer if that's not in who I am, if you see what I mean. I think as a father, we have a responsibility. I've interviewed lots of working girls. I don't know what you call them in America, but we call them working girls. And one thing they all have in common, they didn't know their father or they knew him too well. And I employ fathers. I won't have any friends who don't look after their kids. I just won't. I won't tolerate it. I'll speak to you. So, where's your kids? When last you see them? Are you buying them things? And if you're like dismissive, I just won't bother with you. And that's how I see it. But I don't see how or why I would start to trying to be something that I'm not. If you see what I mean. Probably not what you want to hear, but it's just that's who I am.
Not necessarily, because the way I see it is, well, maybe you are balanced then. Maybe you're so balanced in your masculine and feminine energy that why would you alter it? If you, that's the point. The point is, if you feel unbalanced, then you should work on it. But if you're not unbalanced, then what work do you have to do really? So maybe you just are balanced in your feminine and masculine energy and you can't see it because you're not that. Is my point. Does that make sense, Gloria?
No, it makes sense. What you're saying makes sense. I would say that most men, because we deal with a lot of men who deal with things logically, would probably be thinking along the lines of what I'm looking at. Do you understand? Because it's like your wife or your partner's complaining, well, you should be more this. Well, I'm all right. All right, the wife says I need to be more this. Well, I'll try it, but I only try it when she's around. But generally, I'll just be me. Do you see what I mean?
Well, yeah, I do, but that all depends, because if you're losing everybody in your life because of your behavior, then you might want to look at your behavior, right? Or if your wife is afraid of you, you might want to look at your behavior. Something might not be right. But if nothing's wrong, then what is there to work on?
I'm not referring to the extreme of your partner being scared of you. What I'm referring to is when your wife may say, well, why can't you be more it's like more of a feminine kind of thing. But then if you could change your behavior to that, and then she said, well, you're not very masculine, are you? You go, love, I'm trying to please you here.
Maybe she's toxic. Maybe she's toxic and she needs to work on balancing herself out.
That's my point example. If the person who's complaining has the issue, the other person is just kind of pushing on, as long as you're not being abusive to other people. Because some people just want to, whether manipulate you or want you to be like what they've seen on social media. But we all know that social media is just a face. It's like one of those Italian masks they wear at the ball. It can come off easily than you see the real person, you know?
Absolutely. I agree with you though. To the point of where, as long as you're not abusing anybody. If you're not unbalanced, you're just not unbalanced. There's no, maybe you have other things to work on, or maybe nothing to work on. But that's another topic also for another day, Simon, that we may bring you back and talk about when your partner is telling you need to change things, and that could mean female and masculine, because what it could mean is that you're asking your partner to meet your needs and they're not meeting them, and where is that coming from? Is it because you're being needy, and how are you treating your partner? For example, your wife might say to you, your wife might say to you, I need you to be more emotionally supportive, but how and why is she asking you for that? Right? There's a lot of deeper meanings that could be there for that. It could be because she's approaching you from a standpoint of neediness, or it could be that she's approaching you from a standpoint of where she actually has a need that isn't being met. So that gets complicated. So that's another talk for another day. Believe me, Simon, I will invite you back for that, because that'll be an interesting one.
I know Nelson wants to say something, but I also going to add, what is wrong with women say to a man, I'm going to give you an example. I want you to be in the morning, give me kisses and hugs. And why the man, this is the way I am. Why don't listen to a woman that maybe that woman needs that? And if you give that doesn't cost you anything, you're going to get the best of your woman because you're giving what she wants. It doesn't mean that she needs to be needy, but maybe she's lacking on that with you. And if she's asking you that, open your ears and listen. Also, we need to listen to our men too. But if a woman is requesting attention, give it to her. That's your woman. That's your love. Give it to her what she wants. I don't see nothing wrong with that.
No, Gloria, I don't see a problem with that at all. Giving your partner a kiss in the morning and a hug is a standard thing. Is what we call an SOP, standard operation. You just come up, all right, love, hug, maybe a bit more if she's happy with it. But generally, that's not an issue at all. But I'm talking. That's your example. Obviously, there are other cases where women are basically, well, it's not even women. You meet somebody and they're a certain way, and you've accepted them, and then now you decide you want them to change, and it may be something you've seen on the TV, you've watched a movie, or you've watched the Kardashians, and you think Kanye West does this. Why can't you do that?
Sorry.
Okay. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean too. But I think that's part of the relationship cycle too. This is what I mean. It's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. Because in the beginning of the relationship, right, everybody's putting their best foot forward, right? And you might do things that you wouldn't normally do until you get comfortable with someone. So maybe, for example, Gloria's fictitious relationship partners, right? Maybe in the beginning he was really, really lovey-dovey because he was impressing her and wooing her and bringing her into the relationship. But now that they're together every single day and it's been months and months and months, he's less affectionate in the morning. And when she says to him, hey, it also depends how you say it, by the way, whether it comes across as needy or expressing your needs was my point earlier. But she says, hey, I want these hugs and kisses. And he's like, this is how I am. Right. I know that love is radical acceptance. I get that. But do you think that that's kind of like the opposite of what you're saying? Whereas she's saying, you used to do this and now you don't, or I saw this kind of behavior and now I want you to do it, even though they never were. Did that come out clearly?
Like I said, Gloria's example wouldn't be anything I would contest. I'd actually try and push it more, as I said. So I don't see an issue in that. I'm talking other. Obviously, we're constrained on time. I could give other examples of where somebody is trying to change their partner to be a certain way, or a typical example as well. You don't spend that much time with me. Oh, but I have to work. That's a classic. I have to. And you should be doing this. And we got to pay the bills. Do you see what I mean? Well, you should spend more time. Well, if I spend more time, then we earn less money. So what do you want to do? You know, when I'm not working, I'm with you. And well, you should get a different kind of career then.
So that comes across to me as needy. I don't know about you guys.
Me too.
Yeah. But that's a typical example of what I'd be referring to. The hugs and kisses is not a problem. I don't think it's a problem for any man, really.
I will say to that respond about if you say to me, well, I need to work, we need to spend more, but I need to work. I say, yes, I know you need to work. I know you making all the money here, but you also forgetting that we need time to, because the money can comes and goes. Our relationship can broke up, and then you need to work double to maintain 2 houses.
But and I would agree with you, Gloria. I would agree with you, and that's why I said that when I'm not working, I'm with you all the time. Because you understand, because you work for your family. You don't work to spend time with your friends. You work for your family. I'm a very family orientated person. So everything, when I'm not working, I'm just with my family.
Well, if you explain that to me that way, I would say, okay, mi amor, I understand you. Thank you to be so supportive for our family.
Oh, Nelson, I know you are dying to put some input in. So what you got, honey?
Well, you know, I mean, Gloria totally disarmed me. Thank you, mi amor. She totally took, you know, all the weapons I had, just they flew out the window, you know. I mean, to me, a big thing about this is, you know, adapting to the situation, right? It's like I love to drive manual transmission cars, right? I love working the stick shift in the clutch. But if we're only in one gear, you know, we can only go one speed, right? So it's important to be balancing out the kind of masculine and feminine, and that's not a gender thing. Sometimes it needs more empathy. Sometimes being stern is showing care, right? Sometimes that is showing compassion. So it's a question of adapting to the specific situation and what's the long game, right? The specific situation might be the total opposite, because the long game might require a little bit more, kind of like your example of the high board where you're practicing. It's called a combat water survival test. You might need a little bit more feminine getting you up there, getting you off, a lot more masculine, and then once you're off, a lot of empathy, compassion, kind of, you did this, you're fantastic, let's get you back up to her again now that you've got the confidence. And it's a cycle, you keep on doing it. So it's just, you know, it's like a pulley, right? And again, the long game to it. Yeah, so I mean, that like for me, that's what it is. But the best example, you know, I'll give you a military example. Key, I know you heard this. Simon, I'm sure you heard this. You know, sound off like you got a pair, right? A pair of what, right? When you got to talk, you know, project your voice. And there was a female officer in one of my units, and one of her soldiers came up. She was a junior. She was a lieutenant. We're all captains and majors. And she told one of the soldiers, she said, sound off like you ate breakfast. And I thought that was genius. Why? Because she asserted her leadership, her role as a leader, right? At the same time, she demonstrated care and compassion. What's the problem a lot of young soldiers have? They don't want to eat breakfast. So then by 10 or 11 o'clock, you know, they're drinking, what's that, the drink, the Red Bull? They're drinking Red Bulls, and then they're all out of whack. And she said, sound off as if you had breakfast. Basically, she was telling them, I care about you. Eat the breakfast. Have breakfast. And so, you know, her troops, so to speak, you know, they were always among the top guys, and they were all men. And so the way she was able to kind of balance that out, to show the sternness and the empathy and caring all at the same time, it was just, she could really rattle that out. Sound off like you had breakfast. Did you have breakfast today? No, of course not. That's why you look so tired. Have breakfast tomorrow. What do you have to say? I thought she was amazing. She ended up marrying an officer in the unit, which was kind of like a big no-no. I mean, when they dated, the general basically said, you guys better come to me with rings in hand, kind of thing. And everybody told the guy, they said, "You're the one marrying up, not the other way around." They said you're the one marrying up, because she was able to balance that out. So it's a pulleys, How do I want to land this thing? And if she says mi amor, then I'm in.
I'm gonna ring the bell for Simon, Victor, and Nelson. I like that. I think Matilda wants to say something.
I know she does. I can see it on her face.
It was about, it was when Simon was talking. I was like, at the same time, we have to look at to see what kind of partners we're attracting. Sometimes, because we have childhood wounds, maybe we're attracting needy people. That makes us happy. So maybe when, as an adult, we have to look at what kind of people we attract. And if it's the same thing, then they have the same problem, then maybe it's something inside us. And if we have the inside work, inner child work, maybe we can recover that and have a better partners that suits our personality better.
Oh my God, Matilda. I mean, really, you're talking my language. Okay.
Yes.
Everything I love was rolled up in that statement. Yeah, inner child work. I can't promote that enough. How you attach in relationships. And yes, you can find a partner that suits the way you attach, in a way that you can attach and form healthier relationships. So we're reading this book right now. It's called The Verbally Abusive Relationship. And in it, she said, we talked about this on our very first IG live that we did last night on our at Hot Topics, the podcast Instagram page, right? So we did this like little book review. And one of the things that Patricia Evans says in this book is that you can be living in two different realities with your partner. Right? One person's reality is something completely different than the other person's reality. So you can attach into a relationship, if you have not managed your inner child wounds, into a very unhealthy dynamic where one person's reality of a relationship is power struggles and control. And maybe your version or vision of reality in a relationship is mutual understanding and compassion and caring. Right. And so you're sort of mismatched. One person might view the world as survival of the fittest. The other person might view the world as, if we just all get along, we can have a utopia. Right. Those are my examples. So my question for you guys, and this will be the last question before we talk about Podcasters Unleashed and we wrap. My question for you guys is, what do you think about that? Do you think you can land in a relationship that's mismatched because there are two separate realities that you're living in, and that's why a lot of the clashes and fighting can happen? Carla, what do you think?
I'm sorry to interrupt. We are 1 hour and 36 minutes, so we need to be like short so we can wrap it up before 2 hours.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Kia. I've been there, and I've been there more than once. And I think I'm at that age. I think for women, once we get past 40, there's just something that happens where you just settle into yourself, and you do a lot of wrestling and a lot of work to get there. Of course, it doesn't just happen miraculously, but I think if you're willing to do that work, and when you do that inner child work, and for me, I did that through my work as a teacher. Just by working with the kids, I was working with myself. But I definitely saw that whatever I hadn't resolved would come and face me in my relationship. And those two different realities, that is an excellent way to put it. Absolutely. I've seen this time and time again. And I think the only way that you can get over it is by telling yourself the truth. You have to be interested in the truth, and you've got to really face who you are, why you are the way you are, and where it came from. And then when you do that, you stop attracting that kind of situation into your life. So yeah, I agree with that 100%, just from my own experiences. I won't even read the book, because it just that part alone that you said, it just sounds like it sums up what I went through in a lot of relationships. Yeah.
Absolutely. How about you, Kaula?
Well, that's very interesting point where Carla brought up about when you go into a relationship, there are some certain patterns came up, and if you don't work on that, it will appear each time you are in a relationship. And I do think that a lot of people go into a relationship to complete an emptiness or a void they are in them. And when that void is not complete in a relationship, the relationship is going very, very bad. So, and also for me, I had a problem with communicating my needs and what I really want in a relationship. And that's what most of the relationships didn't work because of that, because of the lack of communication that was not in a relationship. So yeah, I do think that we need to work on ourselves first, heal the wounds from the past, and move on better for the next relationship.
That's wise. I agree. The repeated patterns, if you start to realize like you're in a new relationship, but it's like the same guy, there's some work that needs to be done because and you're still unhappy or as unhappy as the last relationship already. There's definitely some work that needs to be done there. What do you think about that, Victor?
What I would say, what I would say to this is that people lie and people wear masks in relationships. So, and I think these masks takes sometimes it take a whole lifetime for these masks to be like broken or for you to actually come down and be more authentic or more real. So, for people who lie within a relationship, they actually have so much. They have so many. I think they're just scared of themselves that maybe they're not enough for being to be the right partner, to be the right pair. So I think they just need to like try to be more kind to themselves and be more open and just take that max off one layer at a time, one layer at a time, one layer at a time, and be just who you really are, just like the onion.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think if we go into relationships with showing people who we are right away, it can like sort of, as we say where I'm from, weed out the suckers, right? Like you can sort of show if you show people who you are, then they won't attach to a fake version of you. And a lot of times, because we're faking it in the beginning of a relationship and wearing a false mask, then when the mask comes down in the relationship, you realize you're not a match, right? Because you just wanted the relationship. But instead, if you're your authentic self, then you're more likely to form a relationship through authenticity and vulnerability, and show the person who you really are. And if on that first date they don't like who you really are, good, as we say at London Real, because you just saved yourself months of heartache down the line. What do you think, Nelson?
Well, this is all really interesting here. I mean, I have a rule, like I call it the 3 date rule. By the third date, you should kind of lay it all out. So the first date is kind of simple, quick. The second and third, but by the third date, hey, look, this is what I'm about. This is what I am, and to be a really good listener, to listen. And then you can pick up on stuff, and then you can ask questions and find out. So yeah, and then as far as what Carla's saying, um, yeah, it's very true. Sometimes in relationships, people end up with an additional job that they don't even know they have. Hey, this was lacking in my childhood, and I want you to give me this. And you're like, I didn't. When was a job application? When did I fill out? Fill that out. So yeah, I mean, and the other person is like, I didn't even know I was employed, getting this new job. So yeah, it's really an interesting thing, and again, the authentic self, I think that's very situation dependent, right? Right, that's very situation dependent. If there's a fire, the best way to show compassion is to slap a person around and get them out the door. You know, so it just depends on the situation. And why'd you do that? Well, because I care, and now I can hug you, but I'm not going to hug you inside the burning building. So, and that's it for me.
Well, I love that. I like this part. Where did it say on the job description reparenting? I didn't know I
Yeah.
had to reparent you in this relationship. Well, this wasn't here. Like, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
I
And
love
if
that,
it
Nelson.
is, just let me know up front, so I can
Right.
kind of work
Right.
that in. Yeah, because I'm putting you on a curfew right now.
It might not be a deal breaker, right? Just
Yeah.
don't fake a front. Tell me. Let me
Yeah.
decide for myself if I'm cool with that or not. I love that, Nelson.
Yeah.
What about you, Simon?
It's an interesting question, because when you meet somebody, depending on where you are in your own life, is what intention you actually have with them. And then that intention can change. It can change for the positive or the negative, however you're looking at it. And in response to what Nelson was saying, I didn't see that in the small print. I think anybody who's experienced a relationship who's a certain age realize that we all come with our flaws, and there is always going to be some kind of mentoring and development with your partner, and if not, yourself as well. And the question is, do you feel that person is worth doing it for, or with, or both, in that respect? And there's a threshold, and that threshold could depend on where we are in ourselves. If you're a workaholic and your business is at a pinnacle and you're trying to get it off the ground, then you probably don't have time to be nurturing somebody who's got daddy issues in males case.
Right.
If you're well established and you're just money just coming to you, then yeah, by all means, you can spend lots of time helping that person, developing them, and I hope that they will stay with you for years to come, till you're old and grey, in that respect. And that would be about it. Sorry that my examples are always from male to female, because I can only see it from the male's point of view. It's just how I am.
That's why you're here, Simon. This is exactly what we wanted. Thank you for sharing that. And last but certainly not least, Matilda, what's your take on it?
I think if you see repeated patterns, it's not only in your romantic relationships, it's in your life, it's in your everything. They're maybe showing up different ways, not specifically that obvious one that you see in a relationship, in a romantic relationship. I think my podcast is all about that. You need to really understand who you are. You need to have a courage to sit in front of the mirror and look at yourself as you are, the bad, the good, the smell, the bad smell, and to smell the bad and to realize, okay, I'm here. But if I want to go to this place, I need to work on certain things. I need to maybe work on my inner child to become a better person so I can attract that level of partners that I want. I cannot be B level and want to attract A level partners. For example, it's just a example I'm giving. So I think first you need to fix inside. Once that's fixed, your glory, your glitter, your amazingness, your grace will come out, and you will attract the partners that suits you the most. And but before that work, you can meet amazing gazillion people. I met gazillion people, but not necessarily they were the right person for me. And I was just excited because from one person I'm going to another person, but it was a waste of time. Maybe it was fun at that time, but if I didn't do the work that I did at this age, I'm sure I would have punished myself for a long time. So yeah.
Wow. I am not sure, Gloria, which I love more, how she says it or what she says. What do you think about what Matilda just said?
Well, of course, what she said is true. You have to love yourself and recognize your issues and be upfront with the person you met in the first place. Like in my case, I'm a hot potato. When you met me for the first time for the day, I will tell you exactly who I am. If you like it, okay. If not, let's go. I said I'm emotional, I cry, I'm loud. You like that? You like passion? Yes, okay. So I'm going to show you the good thing about me then.
Okay, well, I mean, I love that honesty of you, Gloria. So, you know what, you guys, this has been really, really incredible. I have loved chatting with you and hearing all of your perspectives. And I feel like I've actually learned a lot from talking to you and had this amazing, amazing experience. So before we part ways today, I guess Matilda, because I watched the last episode and you seemed like you were directing all the questions to everyone. So I'm going to ask you this in the interest of saving time. Tell us about Podcasters Unleashed.
Well, we are 6 podcasters around the world that we hang out after our class with London Rio. We start hanging out together for a long time, and we realize, hey, we like each other. We really, really like each other. We fight, we yell at each other, but then we laugh and we love each other. So we realize we talk about interesting topics, and we all have different perspectives from very different backgrounds, and we've decided to share it with the world because initially what we want people to learn from us or to enjoy from us is to understand there are different perspectives, there are different backgrounds, and it's all okay and it's all beautiful, and we're all here to learn from each other and encourage each other to have a better life, and that's it.
That's beautiful. And you can find Podcasters Unleashed pretty much everywhere. You guys you're doing, I know you're on Facebook. Where else are you, Kaula?
Yes, so we are active on Instagram, and actually we have Anchor. You could find us on Spotify too if you can't watch the live show. So we are also at a podcast to listen and the show live. So tune in to see our unique stories and to see the truth that we speak in, and we really share very sensitive topics. So if you wanted to see our different perspective from different parts of the world, tune in on Podcasters Unleashed.
And Carla, when are you guys on?
We're on every Monday at 7 p.m. London time.
Wonderful.
And 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States.
Yeah, I always get that mixed up, so I pretend that it doesn't exist. Thank you. Now.
Well, we'll remember that for our allies across the pond.
Well done, Nelson. And Victor, any last words before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I'll say thank you very much for having us on your show, on your platform, you and Gloria. You guys have been doing fantastic job, and we are very grateful to be here. And Podcasters Unleashed, this is who we are. We share ourselves and our uniqueness.
I love it too. How about you, Simon? Anything before we put you in the green room?
No, I'm perfectly happy with what you've done. Much appreciated you having the team on here, and yeah, thank you.
Aw, when you guys.
Oh, one more thing.
Simon, that's the attitude.
Just to let everybody know, none of us have met each other yet. So we've been together for over a year, and none of us have actually met each other. So we're virtual family, you could say.
What? 3 of you are in the UK. You guys better make that happen.
Unbelievable.
And Paris is not that far either. I feel like a reunion could happen at least a little bit. And Matilda, when are you going to be in Paris? You're far there now, right? You're far.
Hopefully, I don't know, in 2-3 weeks. Depends when they allow me in.
Yep. See, the only person who's going to have to miss out is us and Nelson. So anyway, I really love you guys. I appreciate you so much for coming on. This has been such a really enlightening, informative, and fun conversation. I'm so proud of all of you for what you're doing. You know my motto: keep going, keep publishing, keep doing big things. And I'm sure we'll have you back again because this was hella fun. And Gloria?
Yes, I'm so happy. I'm honored to have you all here with us today. Beautiful souls, beautiful missions. Everybody is different mission, but with the same purpose, that to help the humanity and to help this world to feel better and to be better. Thank you so much for your support and work with the humanity. Thank you.
We love you guys. We're going to put you in the green room. If you can stick around for a few minutes, then we'll see you when we wrap the show. If not, we understand it's been a long time. We appreciate your time and have an amazing evening. We'll see you soon.
Okay, Matilda, bye-bye.
Bye,
Carla,
Gloria. Bye,
ciao.
Kia. Ciao.
Victor, Nelson,
Mi amor.
mi amor.
Bye,
Carla.
Mhm.
Au
And
revoir.
Simon. Ciao.
Ciao, pues.
Ciao, pues. Wow, wow, wow. What a awesome episode today. Long, but a very cool.
Everybody loves our long episodes. This is actually shorter than the one that we did with Amar and with
Yes.
Marcos. So, and we had way more people. So this was a great first experience for us to do a panel. I absolutely loved it. But
too.
we've got to wrap up the show. So
Yes.
thank you everybody for tuning in. We love you guys. Thank you for sticking around and sharing almost 2 hours of your life with us. You can catch this in podcast form at Hot Topics, the podcast on Instagram. You can go into the link in our bio and all the links for where we are is there. You can listen anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can tune in tomorrow for another episode of Hot Topics. We are on every Wednesday and Thursday. If you watch the replay, like, share, follow. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. And thank you for those who are subscribing. And make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when we come live, and set your notifications here on Facebook, because sometimes we pop up on here, right? Now, next Tuesday, we will be doing another live chat on our Instagram. So follow us on Instagram at Hot Topics, the podcast. Also, if you want to, there's a lot of people who are sending me friend requests and Gloria friend requests through Facebook, and we can't have that many people. So if you want to follow us, go to our Instagram. You can follow her at Gloria Gold 1111. You can follow me at Kiativity. That's like positivity with Kia in front. So follow me there, and then you can interact with me and follow along on our journeys. Or you can simply follow at Hot Topics, the podcast on Instagram, and see our new weekly book series. This first book is on verbal abuse, and we'll be talking about that and diving into the book and chatting with the people who are watching live with us, so you can join the conversation there. And if you don't know me by now, my name is Kia Baker. I am the host of the Female Veterans Podcast, Woman Warrior Stories, and Success Coach at London Real Academy. And as always, right next to me is the sensational, the incredible, the dynamic, the fun, the sensual, the charming
Gloria Goldberg. Who else? The number one for you. I say this with a lot of love. Okay, my name is Gloria Goldberg. Like Kia said, I'm the founder and the creator of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory. We're going to talk about depression, anxiety, and PTSD in a holistic way and natural way to always make you feel better. And also the host and creator of the bilingual show, The Gloria. We're going to talk also about depression and anxiety in Espanol y en inglés. One Friday in Spanish, one Friday in English for you to understand other language. And this Friday is going to be in English, and I'm going to be with Wild Flora. Then we're going to talk about depression and anxiety. So 2 p.m. Eastern Time, hora de Miami. So that's it, Kia. We need to wrap it up. Thank you so much, everybody, to be in the show today. And see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And love you all. Share, reply, and replay. And remember that we don't do this alone. We need you to help us to spread the word to the humanity. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.